What is going on, everybody? Today we're looking at the Mattel Masters of the Universe Fright Zone playset. So pretty cool to get the Fright Zone, the base for the evil horde as it's labeled there, the trap-filled stronghold of terror. So on the front of the box here, we just have nice artwork of our Fright Zone, that has artwork very reminiscent of like what the toys used to have back in the 80s, just more modern design to it. So it looks cool with a bunch of our horde members fighting against our masters and even Skeletor up there and stuff. So it just looks cool for there, and we can flip to the back of the box. And on the back here, it's pretty much recreating that same picture just with our actual Fright Zone and all the figures there. So that is pretty cool. Of course, up in the corner, maybe hard to see up there, but there's like the interior, exterior. I guess this is the exterior, so it'd be like the interior, I guess, of the Fright Zone. So the interior, so there's some characters and traps and stuff going on there. We get the big monster as well. They used to be on the old original toy, was a big like puppet thing, and now it's an actual figure, which is pretty cool. And I did also want to show, of course, I flipped it around. On the top of the box just has some of the features and stuff there. So there we get the dreadful dragon as it's labeled, a tree that has Hordak's throne on it there. The tree will also bite, so you can buy Skeletor. It has a imprisonment and traps there as it shows with that. So pretty cool overall for the Fright Zone. It's not got a lot to it as compared to like Snake Mountain and Castle Grayskull and everything, but still looks pretty cool, especially getting the base for the Horde. So let me go and get this open out of the box and we'll take a look at it together. So here I have the Fright Zone out of the box. Of course, this is the base of operations for Hordak and the Evil Horde. It's a rocky green cave filled with traps that Hordak uses to launch his schemes and houses weapons, army, and henchmen. So it looks pretty cool for this. Of course, compared to like, Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain, seems pretty basic overall, but still cool. I like the design. So I have a setup here where we're seeing more of the exterior design, and of course, you just pop this whole base section off like right here at the bottom, and we can flip it around and have the interior of the base. And of course, a lot of stuff just moves around and everything with that. But it is pretty simple. It is, like it says, just a green rocky cave. So it's like this greenish color with a bunch of rock design. So we have like a floor down here. Of course, some rocks like that stick up to points here and everything. We do have a nice trap on the floor, a jail cell there in the back, nice entrance. That'd be the entrance into the cave there. We get a nice creepy face here to the side. So we get this big monster-like face in the rocks. It's got eyes, of course, nice teeth and everything, which are kind of rubbery. So they will move a little as you try and like put characters in and out of it. We do have a Hordak head there, so that's pretty nice. A tree up top, of course, it's hard to fit it all in the camera, but we get this nice evil tree up top there, as you can see, like the weird mouth and eye designs and stuff of the tree, which is pretty cool. And of course, over here, there's like some rock steps like going up, so you could go like up to that tree and everything. So from the exterior here, it looks pretty nice, but like I said, basic at the same time. Like I said, not a whole lot going on here. As I mentioned, there are different things. So like here with the little mouth design, this is a secret entrance as it's labeled, so you could take like He-Man. Of course, it'd be probably way easier with a different character, but they could try and like shove in through the mouth to get inside the base, but I can't even get He-Man to fit inside there. We do have the trap at the bottom, which of course will be on the inside as well, but you can take characters, so it's like characters walking along and then they step in the trap, and of course now they're trapped, so it's almost like a bear trap sort of design, so that is fun. And then we do also have the jail cell here in the back, so we can open that, put our characters inside, so He-Man can go in there and now be locked up in the jail cell, which is pretty cool. So just a nice fun design. And there's little stuff like in the back of that, there's all like little skulls or some like chains and stuff, of course, like all just molded on there. I don't doubt you could really see that, but just nice designs in there. And then of course down like in the bottom, which you definitely won't be able to see down inside here, there's like bones and stuff. So it's supposed to be, like people have been trapped in here and then died and their bones fallen to the bottom and all that. So pretty mean and evil for that. Going up though, I'm not sure what you're supposed to do with this. There is this like root that sticks out. It does have like clamp design, but it feels pretty small. I was gonna say maybe you could take like a character and like clamp it on him. Like, yeah, He-Man definitely wouldn't be able, like maybe his leg you could trap or something, and he could be trapped by the tree. Maybe he could be trapped like hanging upside down or something. Probably won't fit there. He could be like hung upside down or something like that. Like I said, not really sure exactly what that function's supposed to be. But then we go to the tree up top, which it does have some more functions. So it does lift up. So with, like I showed, that mouth design, so you can lift it up and have that. So again, with that, you could have like the tree biting on He-Man's legs. So you could do something like that. And the tree has some like hook pieces. So we have these that we could like hook around the waist as well. So again, not the best design, but you can get like hooked around their waist so the tree can hold on to characters. So he's on one, so 2, 3, 4 possibly, to be able to wrap around different characters to hold up in the tree, which is pretty fun, I guess. So like I said, unfortunately, it's pretty basic on the outside. Like I said, of course, with Snake Mountain, had a lot of features on the outside, more, at least seem more interesting on the outside than the inside. Castle Grayskull didn't really have much going on the outside. It was mostly all interior for that. So it's like a nice combination between the two with stuff inside and stand out, but I just feel there's not a whole lot going on. But of course, this is a much smaller base altogether, but we can then flip it around. Now, of course, what we'll have to do is pop this base off here at the bottom. So just take this piece off, which thankfully it isn't super hard to get off. You just pop this whole base piece off and we can move it around to the interior. So then with the interior here, we can then just flip some stuff around. So as you see, we get like the nice split divide there. So we can then fold this around to the inside like that and put this base back in. So it'll pop in like that. So now we have an interior to play with. So I guess now it'd be more easier to like fit characters in and out, since it's now more like they're inside the base. Like I said, it's supposed to be a secret hideout. We get the entrance here, which is pretty nice. So we have all this orange around the cave and it's got a nice mouth design. So that is pretty cool. Now we also get like a weapons rack over to the side there. That trap is still in here. So we still have that. And of course, then we go over to this side. That's pretty boring because we have the jail cell, but we can also really flip that around. So you just have to get it popped out and then you can move it around to the interior. So you can have it inside the base as well if you want that. And then we also have a trap over here to the side. So just like a wire trap. So you take this. Again, He-Man may be too big for this. I think on like the boxes show Tila and stuff, she may fit better. Actually, with his arms up, He-Man will fit inside there. So you can fit him inside. So he's like trapped there as well. So we get those additional traps, which is pretty cool. So yeah, there's not a whole lot going on the interior here, but at least there is some sort of interior like design to this as well. We do get some weapons that can go on the weapons rack. So these just came with the set. So we can attach them on the weapons rack. So we get a gun. Of course, they're all in the nice red colors for the Horde. So we can pop this on there. So we get the gun. We get the nice Horde staff that we usually get with characters we can pop in. So you can have that staff there in the back. And then of course the crossbow as well that they use, which has a nice little hook piece. You can hook that onto as well. So you get those nice weapons there, which is nice. But one of the big things with this set is that up on the tree, we get the throne for Hordak to sit on. So here we have Hordak's throne, which is a pretty nice color. I love like the oranges and the black. Of course, have the Horde logo on it there. And we can take our Hordak character and sit him in the chair. Of course, I thought like the cape would be in the way and stuff, but it looks like there's maybe a cutout so you can get around it. So yeah, there's like a cutout in the back, so it allows the cape to like slide back down in there, and you can have Hordak sitting in the throne now at the Fright Zone. So that is pretty cool that you have that as well with Hordak in the throne. And it does also come with some birds, some like ravens or whatever here as well that we can hang in the tree. I don't really know if they sit in any certain spots. I just know where it's like more rounded, they can sit in easier. So there I just kind of placed them around the tree, so you can just put them wherever you want. Like I said, just gotta find rounded spots for their feet to clip on, and you can put the ravens in the tree there as well. So that is pretty cool. It's nice to have Hordak there up in his throne as well, overseeing all his minions of the Fright Zone. So we can bring characters, you know, like Grizzlor here, and have them, of course, populate the Fright Zone with all our characters, and of course have our He-Man imprisoned as he is down there. So that is all pretty cool. One thing I do want to show, if we go ahead and flip back around to the exterior. Now, if you know the Fright Zone they released back in the 80s, there was a big like pan puppet monster that would come out of this hole here. I forget what it was called exactly, like some sort of behemoth monster or something along the lines like that. Well, now we get the Dreadful Dragon, as it's called. So we get the dragon, which has the very similar like head design to it and everything. So we get this big dragon toy that we can then stick its head through. Of course, I have all this the base in there, so it kind of makes it hard, but you can have it sort of sticking through like the hand puppet used to do out of the hole. But I just thought it was pretty cool to get the monster. So here it is in full size. So like I said, it is a full actual monster, so it's pretty nice, you know, very similar to like Battle Cat and everything. So nice green colors with a nice like yellow green here, and of course the dark greens with the spines. It has 6 legs, so we had all the legs there. Of course the big head, like I said, that is very like reminiscent of that old toy with the big snake like eyes, the mouth open with all the snake teeth and stuff, tongue sticking out. Just looks pretty cool. And of course, as you open the mouth, the like head and bottom move together, so it opens up there, which is nice. We do get some movements, of course, like I showed that the head will twist there side to side and move up and down, so we get some of that movements. Then of course the legs move back and forth, and then they have movements at the feet, so they'll move back and forth and twist side to side, so you can get all those legs adjusted wherever you need them to get them standing. And then the back tail piece here will move side to side as well. So it's fun that they took from that old hand puppy, you know, just like a material that you'd wear on your hand to stick your hand out like and chomp your figures and stuff, and now we get an actual toy and everything, which is pretty cool. And of course can be over here like chomping on He-Man and everything, which is pretty fun. So I love that they included this as well. Like I said, especially with this base not being that big, at least, you know, not seeming as big as Snake Mountain and Castle Grayskull, it's nice we get a big monster to throw in there with it as well. So overall pretty cool for this set altogether. Like I said, it's not that big or super impressive. As I said, going back thinking about it now, you know, the last two weren't that impressive either, but it is cool just to finally get the base for Hordak, so pretty nice for that. So again, it's just another base added for our MOTU collection. So let me know what you thought of the Fright Zone down in the comments, and if you enjoyed this review, let me know what that like, and hit the subscribe button to see more. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.